Hi everyone, so I want to try something a little bit different for Imperial Assault today. I know I've been doing the X-Wing Should I Fly It series, so I wanted to do a similar kind of thing with Imperial Assault, especially with the way I've been playing the game recently and some of the lists I've been trying to run. I've been trying to get away from just running meta lists and having a bit of fun and playing some themed games. A few weeks ago I ran all 4 bounty hunters in the scum list and had a bit of fun with that. Some games were tragic, others were really good fun, but I just wanted to do that kind of thing and hopefully try and walk that line between competitive balance where you can still go down and do pretty well with a list, but also have some kind of theme behind it. So the first one is Smugglers. Obviously it's going to be a Rebel Alliance list, and I'll bring it up now. So the first thing you'll notice is that this list has Han Solo in it. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to try and do this, to see if I could make it work, make Han work. Is 12 points, widely regarded as overcosted. There's no real getting around it, but we'll have a look at him anyway. He's a big hitter in this list. So he has the Smuggler and Leader trait, the Smuggler trait being the one we're looking for. He has a surge for +2 accuracy and +1 damage, and then a second surge for +2 damage. It has 12 health, a speed of 4, a white defense die, and he rolls a blue-green-green attack, which is really good, really strong attack. The abilities he has on his card are Return Fire. After an attack targeting you is resolved, if you did not suffer any damage, you can interrupt to perform an attack targeting the attacker, limited to once per round. So it has the kind of retaliation fire. If you can roll that X-Man symbol on your white die, dodge the attack, it gets to shoot back. There's different times to use it. I mean, I normally use it on the first opportunity I get in a turn, just because I don't want to waste the opportunity to use it. There's no guarantees that you're ever going to get to use it, so I feel like that's one of the abilities that could have been a little bit better. I would have preferred Hand Shoot's first ability, where when an attack targets you, a reverse to Greedo's ability would have been nice. But there we go. So it has the same ability as C-3PO of distracting. Whilst a friendly figure is defending and you are adjacent to the targeted space, apply +1 surge cancel to defense results. It also has cunning. While defending, apply +1 block to the defense result for each surge cancel. So it's a pretty good package, but it's just 12 points tends to hurt him. But I wanted to see what value I could get by using the Smuggler trait and his command cards, which we'll get to later on. Then the second guy in the list is Lando Calrissian. So you can see how aggressive they've started pricing the single models now. I mean, Han is the core set, Lando's in the newest Bespin Gambit box. He is +2 accuracy built in all the time, so he doesn't need to surge for it like Han. He has a surge for hide and stun, and he also has a second surge for +2 damage. He's 6 points with 8 health and a speed of 4. His attack isn't quite as reliable as Han's with the green-yellow, and his defense is a black die. Obviously, anyone who's used Lando will know that information technically isn't 100% accurate when we look at resourceful. So when attacking or defending, you may reroll one of your attack or defense die. Then the important part of Lando's card is a gambit. Before you reroll a die, you may replace it with another die of the same type. After rolling, the new dice is considered rerolled. So that lets you get a little bit of reliability into Lando's attacks. If you need a long range shot, you can swap out the lowest range dice on your attack for a blue die, try and get that extra accuracy. If you need extra damage, you can swap out the worst dice for a red one, all that kind of thing. He really comes into his own when you can get the hide and focus going onto him. We'll get to Gideon and 3PO later on into the list. Obviously, it's still a Rebel list after all. But I found that he's a little bit of a wrecking ball if he's doing hidden focused attacks. Everyone's favourite, Jyn O'Dan, another smuggler. She is only 5 points. Probably the, other than Luke Skywalker, probably one of the best single models in the Rebel pack that isn't there just to focus people. From the core set, a lot of the heroes didn't really make the cut for skirmish games, but Jyn's really strong. She's got a lot of interplay, and the better you get at using her, the more you can get out of her, especially for only 5 points. She has 6 health, a speed of 5, rolls a white defense die, and has a really solid attack of 2 greens. Again, another smuggler. She has a surge for stun and pierce 1, and a surge for +2 accuracy and +2 damage. And then her trigger ability. This is the key to using her well, I've found, and to playing against her, in honesty, if you can get the hang of this her trigger ability. At the start of a hostile figure's activation, you may interrupt to perform an attack that targets that figure, limit once per round. She shares the same cunning ability as Han Solo, which is when defending, apply +1 block to the defense result for each surge cancel result. And also, after an attack targeting you resolves, gain 2 movement points for each of your surge cancel results. So she can reposition after you've attacked her. So she's really good at hanging around on corners, those different angles you can create, stuff like that. And then when people have one shot at her, you can just get her out of dodge and protect her quite well. Then we come on to the meat. Well, it's not a meaty list, but the meat of the list is 2 elite alliance smugglers. These are guys who are going to be doing all the donkey work, leaving Jyn, Lando and Han to do the heavy lifting with the attacks. But the elite alliance smugglers are 4 points. They have the smuggler characteristic. They have 5 health, speed 5, a white defense die, a green-yellow attack. They surge for stun, they surge for focus, they surge for PS2, and they surge for +3 accuracy. As you can see from those surges, they've got a really good toolbox. The only thing they're lacking is actual damage, so they're good to try and control things, but you need to get that focus train started off if you want to be able to reliably damage to get that stun onto them. It's not necessarily the easiest model to use well, but running objectives with them, using these guys to open your doors, stuff like that, it's really useful. And I find them to be a key to the list. You have improved Smuggler's Instincts, which is an action. You perform an interact and then move up to 3 spaces. So that's really good. It's move spaces, so you don't have to actually use movement points for it. You just count the space, so you can go through enemy figures, you can go through blue tiles, anything like that. And I've found this to be a godsend, especially with other people's trash, stuff like that. Any of the retrieval missions, these guys really shine. And then they have slippery. So while defending, apply -2 to the accuracy result, and after an attack targeting resolves, gain 2 movement points. So if you're trying to use them to run missions, you can keep them back, and then the extra -2, really good. If someone's attacking them with their dice, so a green-yellow attack, really struggles to hit the Alliance Smugglers unless people are stood right next to you. It can just be a real pain. And it does stack with a hidden condition, which we'll get to in the command deck. And it's not to be overlooked about the gaining movement points as well. You can do the same kind of tricks as Jyn. So then we have Gideon Argos and C-3PO. So this was my my concession to it not being a full smuggler list. I could have gone with more smugglers in there, but I thought this was the part of the list that was going to help it function. 3PO buffs Han and Jin so much with the distracting, and the focus it can stack onto people is really good, and it's a 2-point activation which really helps. And then Gideon is really strong. We all know what he does already. 3 points for 5 health, speed 4, a black defense, and then he's got an attack, I believe. I've never rolled those dice in this list. Blue-green attack. So the Stormtrooper attack, it's pretty good, especially with those surges for +2 damage and the surge for focus. If he actually focuses himself, Gideon's attack is not to be sniffed at. He can really start doing damage. You can easily take on Stormtroopers and Elite Stormtroopers and come out on top once you've got that focus train moving. But the main reasons you're taking him is for the 2 actions on his card. So tactical maneuver, choose another friendly figure in your line of sight, that figure gains 2 movement points. And on my mark, choose another figure within your line of sight, that figure becomes focused. And then 3PO has, when he's in form, he can focus the adjacent figure. Cowl lets him reroll his die, distracting, and then non-combatant, he doesn't have an attack basically. So even if you focus him, you can't attack with him. 4 health, 3 speed. Is there to start your focus trains going on different people and just be a bit of a control piece, give you a bit of activation advantage. And then the fun parts of the list. We'll start off with Rebel High Command. It's pretty common in a few Rebel lists now. Just gives you a bit of command card control. Drawing any extra card in the end round makes it not as important to go and try and hold the terminals, which I've found is quite vital in this list. Because you don't really have a lot of meat in the list, you can't afford to go and try and hold ground. You've got to constantly be moving, repositioning, trying to focus the fight into an advantageous part of a map for you. So getting those 2 cards a turn just really helps not have the pressure to keep going for those terminals. Then we have on a diplomatic mission, which always goes on Gideon. You don't bother putting it on Lando or Han. You need this one to just keep giving you those little boosts. So this one's an interesting card. It has a couple of different effects and it's conditional. So it's leader only for 1 point. Exhaust this card at the end of your activation. If you did not perform an attack, you can get to choose one of the following. So you can either gain 2 movement points, you can apply 1 surge cancel to your defense result for the rest of the round, or you can gain 1 victory point. And 1 victory point's not really a lot, you might overlook it quite easily. But most games of AI go to 4 or 5 turns normally, and potentially that's an extra 5 victory points. I've done it quite easily where Gideon's racked up 4 points for me whilst focusing and moving people. And it's not to be sniffed at. It's just that little boost can help push you into a lead, and it can be quite intimidating, especially if you're moving around the map, not trying to hold one position. You can just keep the pressure on by your victory point total ticking up every turn. And then the last deployment card is another skirmish upgrade attachment, and this was Smugglers Run. So smuggler only. Deplete this card while you are in your opponent's deployment zone to give 5 victory points. And this is another pressure card. I use it to try and control my opponent. You've got a lot of options on where it can go. Obviously, I prefer putting it onto one of these 3. You want either Jin or the Alliance Smugglers to have it, just because they've got the nimble or slippery. So if people are trying to attack them, you can push yourself further towards the deployment zone and things like that. Especially on the new Dianoga map, sort of the Coruscant landfill map, you're quite close to each other's deployment zones. So you can quite easily swing back around with these guys' speed of 10 if you do a double move and get into a position where if they attack you, you can dodge into a deployment zone with the free movement points that you're getting. So yeah, it's really good. It's not going to win your games. I wouldn't advise you to focus on trying to do it every game, but it's just a nice thing when it happens. It can really help push you over the finish line. So that's all of the units. So I'll just talk about the units briefly, so I'll get rid of that for a minute. The main way it works is obviously you want to play for position in the early range. You can't overexpose yourself. Luckily, the mission rotations at the moment don't have too many where you are going to be throwing yourself into position to get shot turn 1. If you play it patiently, you shouldn't be taking any damage in the first round. So you use Gideon to position. If you've got to bust through any of the doors, Han and Lando can get that job done. And try and the way I try to do it is I want to have a focused attack with Han and then be able to refocus him with Gideon or 3PO's activation. The same with Jyn. You want to have the focus available for the reactionary shots if possible, because that really dissuades people from wanting to attack them. We'll go on to a command deck that I've put together. This is by no means the only command deck you can do. It's listed them in points cost order, I believe. So I don't know what order it's put them in. So Element of Surprise, is the first card it's got up. Use when you declare an attack. If a target figure did not have line of sight to you at the start of your activation, remove 1 dice from its defense pool. Again, it's a staple card for any of the lists that I run, unless you're running a really slow combat list. I always think that Element of Surprise is a valuable card to take. At 0 points, it's a good way of baiting out a negation, and if they don't, you can quite easily remove a figure. Not many people can stand up to Han's attack if he's focused, and they don't get to roll any dice. Then another staple in almost every command deck I make is Rally. Use it at the start of your activation to discard all of your harmful conditions. And just that insurance on being able to move where you need to. If you've got to pull back, you can do a double move. Not using an action to clear that condition can be really beneficial. And it does all of them, so you can get rid of them all in one go. Then we have Recovery. So it's just an action to recover 2 damage. You'll see a pattern in this list that there's quite a lot of recovery type cards in here, and that's because the list is so fragile. You want to make sure that you can keep people as healthy for as long as possible, and it can be pretty frustrating for people to get a little bit of damage through, and then you can recover it, pull them back, recover again with a different card, stuff like that. So I like this playstyle for the list. And then we have 2 slippery targets. Use when a hostile figure enters an adjacent space and gain movement points equal to your speed. This works really, really well in this list. Lets you reposition to be offensive next turn. You can use it to take yourself out of line of sight, then activate and get your Element of Surprise off. You can use it to dash into the deployment zone to get your Smugglers run. You can also use it to pull extra range for your Alliance Smugglers to make sure that the attack misses, stuff like that. It's a very useful card and not to be overlooked in this list. Then back to staples of any command deck. Take Initiative. Use it at the start of a round to claim your initiative token, then exhaust one of your deployment cards. So 3PO exhaust so that you get to go first again. It should be in every command deck really. You can't afford not to run it. Obviously it does bait out negation really well. There are a couple of lists that I don't run it in, but I'll cover those at some point because there are very specific reasons for not running it. Then we have Urgency. And this is a taste card. You don't necessarily have to run Urgency in this command deck. This is the one that's the last card I put in. You can take one that just gives you 1 movement point that isn't an action. There's loads of different options for this last 0 point card, but I feel that it can really help with getting 3PO into position again. Han and Lando only being speed 4, they can really benefit. Or even doing a massive dash with an Alliance Smuggler, so you potentially move 7, interact with Advanced Smuggler's Instincts and move 3 squares back. So you can potentially move 10 squares and interact with Urgency on one of the Alliance Smugglers. So that's a pretty strong combination. Then Han Solo's card, I Make My Own Luck. At the start of a round, your player claims the initiative token and he must activate you first this round. So same as Take Initiative, but can't be cancelled by negation, and you've got to go first with Han. I like it. Again, it gives you more control over the flow of the game. Normally at the point you'd want to be using this card, Han's going to be in the thick of the action anyway, and you want to be using your big hitters first in the mid to late game to make sure that you're removing figures, and it's just a really good, strong way of doing it. Jin's command card, 1 in a million. Use when you declare an attack. If it is not your activation, remove all dice from the target's defense pool. So this is obviously tied into her ability. This is one of the cards you want to use when she's focused, if at all possible, and it removes all dice. So Vader doesn't get any dice rolls, and given that she's got a surge for the stun, Surge for Stun, it's a really good control card as well. So as they activate, you can strip the dice away and stun them and really mess with people's plans. Then we have Smuggled Supplies. This is a really good card in this deck and in this list because it gives you options all the way through. So use at the start of your activation to recover 2 health. Apply 1 surge to your attack results until the end of the round, or apply 1 surge cancel to your defense results until the end of the round. So you only get 1 of them, but you get the options of which one you want. I'm pretty sure you only get to choose 1 of them. It could be read as you recover 2 and then choose between a surge or a surge cancel, but then I would have put then here. So that's why I think it's 1 of the 3. So I still use it. Again, it's another way to recover 2. Doesn't cost an action. I've also used it with Han or Jin to buff their defences because you add in a surge and a block because of their defences there. It's good on the Alliance Smugglers or Lando to get them into hiding or get the focus train started. It's different uses. It's a good versatile card to have in the deck. You're never disappointed if you draw this card. At negation, use after your opponent plays a command card with a cost of 0. Discard that card and cancel its effects. Strong, I think this is a must take now. There's that many good zeros, and if you cancel someone's take initiative, it's really, really important. Obviously, they're trying to play it for a reason. This and Take Initiative can be game-changing cards, and it's all about the bluffing and the way you play them. Then we have Heart of Freedom, another Rebel staple card. Use at the start of your activation to discard 1 harmful condition, recover 2 and gain 2 movement points. So another card that recovers 2, also clears a harmful condition and gives you extra movement points. Again, it's always a useful card to have. Lando's card is Cheat to Win. When you use Gambit, after rolling the new dice, you may change it to a dice's result to any other result on the die. It just makes his reroll guaranteed. You can make sure you play, if you've got this in hand and need to dodge something, you dodge it. If you need to put in the 3 damage on a red die, you can. If you need all those surges from a yellow, you can. Just switch it to whatever you need it to be and get the best result possible. Then we have Tough Luck, the counter to Lando's card. Use after your opponent re-rolls a die, remove a die's result from a result. This is another one of those cards that you can take to taste. I like it at the moment, but there are other really good 1-point cards that can synergize well with this list. But it's a nice card that I'm happy to have. HK Assassin Droids can really hurt this list, and anyone re-rolling attack die, it's nice to just keep stuff alive. Or obviously you can use it to make sure a kill goes through, but I tend to try and use it defensively in this list just because of how vulnerable it can be if you play them wrong. Then my favourite card for messing people up and getting hidden onto Smugglers. Use when an attack tagging you is declared, you become hidden. It's just really good. At -4 all of the time to be shot. I mean, if I can get this onto a guy I've given Smugglers Run to, you're laughing all the way to the bank. You can pretty much ignore any attack that isn't a melee attack coming at you. So it's pretty strong. It's good fun. So give it a try. I'll make sure I put the list in the description, and I believe I took it to a tournament yesterday. Command deck was slightly different. As I get the videos up, you'll see, but I managed to win a little summer kit event with this list yesterday. The command deck was slightly different because I forgot to take I took the wrong command deck. I took the one I made for a Jedi list because I'm an idiot, but I grabbed cards off people for game 2. So game 1 I played with a Jedi command deck and lost horribly. Game 2 it did okay, and then game 3 it's face stomped pretty hard. So it's a really good list, good fun to play. Uses Han Solo, which is always a benefit for any list I can think of. And yeah, give it a try, guys. Leave some comments if you've got a smuggle list you like to run. And let me know if you want to see another themed Imperial Assault list, and I'll try and get the battle report videos up. I know it was all recorded on Monday Night Gaming on the Sentry Box's Twitch stream, so that'll be going onto YouTube as the entire show. But I'll see if I can cut the game videos, and then I'll make a playlist or something from this video. So thanks for watching, everyone, and have a good day.